Tim Sykes here. It is the weekend, and I want to go over a bunch of plays, but specifically SERV up 200% plus on Friday. I traded it pretty atrociously. I profited on it, but not by much. Like, this should have been a freaking home run. Props to several trading challenge students. You know who you guys are. You don't want to go public yet with your trades because some of you still have positions. But several trading challenge students made six figures. Some of them took some of the gains. Some of them are riding it. I don't need to name names, but just know that even though I massively screwed it up and I only made a few thousand, several students made six figures. A lot of students made five figures, but I'll go over that in a little bit when the trade is done. Right now, I want you to understand why it even spiked so much. Because if you actually look at the news, they announced basically that they have this new investor or a bigger investor, NVIDIA, which is the hottest company in the world. They were previously invested, but they converted, some debt into shares. And so they basically put a few $1 million into this company. And they have this kind of cool product where like you can deliver, food with these little moving robots. And it's pretty cool, right? Like theoretically, it could be the future. I kind of look at the price action as not just NVIDIA investing, also Uber's invested, but this is like the public awakening of this company. Because if you look at a longer term screenshot of this stock, it's been dead. It's not like this company is new, but they have very little revenue, obviously potential, for automated serving food, but they've been around for a few months and you can see the stock has done nothing. This is basically like a coming out party. It's like their IPO where people just recognize, oh, wait a minute, they're in AI, they're in robots, they have Uber and NVIDIA as investors. It's pretty good. But the interesting thing was that the news was early. And I really want you to see where this came from. Like the news was right here. So the stock was trading in the twos. The news was right here. And after hours, it went to the fours. And then it kind of like double topped here at 5. And it really wasn't until like 10:30 a.m., 10:40 a.m. If you've been watching my video lessons, I've been noticing a 10:45 a.m. pattern. You could say that this one clearly applies because it really wasn't doing that much. In fact, if you actually look at my trades, well, before even we get to my trades, let me just show you my watch list. I think it's important that you understand. Some people are like, oh, I just want the alerts. You need to watch my watch list, my alerts, my commentary. You have to understand why I'm getting into a trade, okay? This is how I create millionaire traders from scratch. Not by, anybody following hot alerts. That's a misnomer. The most money that you will make will be because you are self-sufficient and you have learned your own process. You've learned from me and other millionaire students. So I'll post a link below this video to get into my challenge. You should. I don't want to hear any excuses, okay? If you want to learn to capitalize, like I said, I'm not mad that, several of my top students made 5 and 6 figures. I'm proud. I am not best case scenario at all, but I do have a decent idea. And even though I didn't capitalize hugely, I'm very glad to be on the right track. There's a saying, those who can't do, teach. So I can't do great. I don't have the killer instinct to bet big, to trade big like several of my millionaire students. But I have made, a little over 7 million and I am up roughly 200,000 this year. So don't cry for me. It could be worse. We're not all perfect traders and I never had a mentor. So I'm always trying to be the mentor to you that I never had. But this is why I want you reading my watch list every morning, because even though I didn't trade it great, I saw this pre-market and I specifically said, SERV is the one I'm most focused on as they got a nice investment from NVIDIA and it's making everyone aware of the robotic AI products. So let's see if it can extend its early gains, as there's also a lot of shorts in it. But no matter how exciting SERV is, it's not a low float runner like SILO or IVP. So they're going to need to trap lots of over aggressive shorts to have a shot at a bigger spike today. I could not have written a more dead on paragraph because that's exactly what happened. I understood that the NVIDIA investment would just make people see it. I understood that it's not low float. So a lot of shorts were like, oh, they only put a few million. This stock should go down. And because there were those over aggressive short sellers, guess what? That is what created this upside. I want you to understand it is all the short sellers these days. I know they don't want you to believe it. They want you to think, no, it's not the short sellers. We're the good people. Good or bad, whatever you want to judge. I don't care. All I know is that the best spikes are because of these short sellers. And some shorts take it personally. They're like, why you got to talk smack about us, Tim? You used to short sell. I did. But I also had far better risk reward. It was a far less crowded niche at the time. And now I don't short sell at all. In fact, Jack Kellogg, who, is now up roughly $1 million on the year, and he's taken his Roth IRA from like 10,000 to like 700,000 this year, which is crazy. He only goes long. And I really would encourage all of you guys to only go long. We do need more short sellers. So if you want to be stubborn and you want to short sell and you want to help create great squeezes, fantastic. They serve a purpose too. I just have a duty to teach you like what to do and what not to do. And it is the height of all stupidity, stubbornness, and arrogance to be a short seller in these kinds of plays. But thank God the short sellers are so arrogant and narrow-minded, they won't even watch these video lessons. They're just like, dilution tracker says this, the fundamentals say this. And they have these little like laughable arguments that are just completely wrong in this market. Risk reward wise, they're not wrong about the fundamentals. I'm not debating that. I'm just saying that in hot markets, the odds favor going long. So you judge, you do whatever you want. But I am so proud of this paragraph because even though I didn't trade it great, I was too early. I was too aggressive too early. Then I wasn't aggressive late enough, basically. Like I zigged when I should have zagged. I zagged when I should have zigged. That's going to happen. But I'm really happy that I was on the right track. I'm really happy that my watch list was dead on. And I'm really happy I'm not a short seller. Like as bad as I traded it, and I'll show you my trades in a second, I mean, at least I didn't short it. They were just on the complete wrong track. And the worst part is that like, they're not wrong fundamentally, like I said. So they're even angrier. They're like, but the fundamentals, but the stock shouldn't go up. And they're just losing their minds, which is why most short sellers look like crap. If you ever see a dedicated short seller, they look like 10 to 20 years older than they are. I'm sorry, they don't like me saying it, but it's true. And it's my job to teach, and it's my job to be truthful. So I got to bring it up. Leave a comment below. You tell me, do you want to go long or do you want to go short? I'm curious. And be honest, like I said, we need the short sellers. These stocks wouldn't spike as high without them. So I'm not complaining about the shorts. I always say I'm grateful for their sacrifice. I'm grateful for their narrow-mindedness. I'm grateful for their arrogance. I'm grateful for everything. But at the same time, if I can help save a few of you from that ridiculous risk that they take, then I'll do it. But, there's two sides to the coin. And this is what I said in the watch list before the stock even started making its move. Because it's a high float, because there's not just like 800,000 shares like on some of these other plays like IVP and Silo, which were low floats and they can just, squeeze based on the buyers. This was a higher float stock. You can see here, can I move this down or move this up? Let me move it up a little bit. You can see here the float is 15 million and there's a few different sources, but it's not 700,000. It's not 1 million. It's a higher float stock. So it moves slower. And if you look at how it moved, even with the news, okay, the stock doubled. That's fantastic from basically, not even doubled. It was up like 70%, like 250 to like 4, but it couldn't really break 5. Okay. And all of this action pre-market and like even a little after the close, it's weak. It really is weak. And I even said it in my trade. I profit on it later in the day, but you can see here, I got a little undisciplined with VRPX. Should have focused. Where was it? Right here. Wow, I traded a lot yesterday. I was over trading. But this was my first trade on SERV. So when you hear me say like I traded it like crap, look at this. I bought it pre-market. I highlighted in the watch list. They have cool robot food delivery. Uber also invested everyone waking up to them. Goals to make 5 to 10%. Not sure if it can really fly. So this is not low float. So I bought the stock pre-market in the 430s and it just could not break out. And I was like kind of disappointed. I also bought SHPH. They had some cancer news. Thought that one could break out. Wrong on that one. So like, already pre-market, I'm just kind of like, wow, it's kind of a dud of a market. I'm just wrong about these plays. Small losses, small gains don't really matter. But this is the interesting thing. SHPH kept fading, but SERV came down, and then look at this volume between 10:20 and 11 a.m. Massive volume, massive run up, not new news. The news is already out. So what causes a stock to skyrocket hours after the news is out? Short sellers, okay? It's not a conspiracy theory. It's what's happening. There are dedicated short selling chat rooms out there where everyone likes to trade together and they short together and they try to push these stocks down. And guess what? You can see it. You can go back through the chat archives. All these short selling chat rooms, there's several of them. There's massive amounts of groupthink, something I warn against. And, many of my students, many traders like, trading together. They create these little discords. They're like, oh, we have a trading pod. And they like meeting up in person. They're all trading together. I like to trade on my own. Even when I have millionaire students come visit me here in Italy and around the world, I trade in my room alone. I don't want to be influenced by anybody, and I don't want to influence anybody else. I really think trading should be a solitary thing. I know that it gets lonely. I know that you crave others because you're in this alone and you're like, God, I'm probably losing in the beginning like most people. Encourage yourself to be lonely. I encourage you to be frustrated because that should drive you to study harder. Because then if you make enough money in the end, guess what? You're never going to be lonely again. I only post photos usually of myself. And so people are like, God, Tim, your life seems so lonely. I wish I was lonely. I have people nonstop everywhere. Students, friends, influencers with my charity. So many people. And it's awesome. But at the same time, I crave the solitude of trading. And I don't want to be influenced by anybody. And the problem with the trading industry, 90% of traders lose. So if you are influenced by any amount of traders, you're probably just going to lose like that group does, even if they don't admit it. If you look at the traders on Twitter or on Discord, you'll think they all make money. When in fact, several studies have been done, 90%, sometimes even 95% of traders lose. So do not follow anybody. If you are in a short selling chat room, I don't mind you, being like a double agent, right? Go into a short selling chat room, say, yes, this company sucks. Yes, dilution tracker. And like, they won't know because, it's not voice activated. You can just go along with the crowd. But if you realize stocks like this and you realize how many short sellers there are and how they overcrowd in all together at the same time, they all get squeezed together. It is the dumbest, most heard, predictable type phenomenon that we can see right now. And I've been talking about it for years, specifically the past few months. And with the markets at all-time highs, this is what happens, okay? Look at this. At the market open, it basically drops from 430 down to 390, back to 440, back to 430. Right here, shorts are thinking, oh my God, it can't even get back to 440, let alone 450. This is a failed bounce. Let me short it into oblivion. And a lot of the time, these shorts work their magic together and they push these stocks down. And so the stocks, they break the momentum of any longs. They break the momentum with volume. They put up these solid walls and they make people think that these stocks are just going to fade. And guess what? Most of the time they do. Shorts aren't completely wrong every time, but they're winning a little, they're winning a little, they're winning a little. And then all it takes is one or two. And, this play might not even be done yet. It might go to, 10 plus if what I know several traders are thinking comes true. We'll see. I'll do another watch list. So again, click the link below if you want in my challenge and you want my daily watch list. But it's because of the short sellers trying to push it down, trying to break the momentum. That's what leads to this. And this breakout right here, actually at 10:30 a.m. and really here at 10:45 a.m. Look at this. This is 10:45 a.m. Okay. So it's really like 10:30, 10:45, but look at the volume. This is all short sellers panicking. Okay. Anybody had a chance to read the news here, and that didn't get the stock up. Right here is when it really broke out, and it kept going. And I know a lot of smart people long from the 4s, 5s, and 6s. And it's awesome to see. So I'm glad that I was dead on my watch list. I wasn't aggressive enough pre-market. I wasn't aggressive enough on this breakout. I was trading VRPX. which spiked well in the beginning, but then just faded and couldn't, do anything. This is what a lot of short sellers envision is going to happen on every play. And it happens on the majority of plays, but not this play. Or, it did work on VRPX, but not on SERV. SERV lured in all the short sellers, as I warned. Like, just read this. Look at this. They're going to need to trap a lot of over-aggressive shorts, okay? I said in this pre-market at 8:40 a.m. This was over an hour before this actually played out. So every single day, read my watch list. If I don't do a watch list, I do like a pre-market video lesson, and you can see my thoughts there. But you have to start to understand why these stocks spike and how they can spike. Because I got so many questions. People are like, why is this stock spiking at 10:30, 10:45? The news is already out right in here, okay? The news is literally out here on Thursday after hours. Why does it start spiking here, okay? This is just like, there's no new news. It's just the shorts getting squeezed. So it's very important. I've talked about this. If you don't understand, watch my last 500 video lessons because I've talked about this. This is the number one pattern where a stock can be weak pre-market or even at the open and then turn up at the most crazy times. So I screwed up. I was too early on SERV even though I was on the right track. I was too early on SHPH. I was just wrong on that one. I tried to dip buy on ZAPP, but barely bounced, and that actually kept dropping. So my first 3 trades on the day, I was pretty much just wrong for various reasons. Yeah, I'm up like 200, but I don't care. I'm not in this to try to make $200. I'm in this to try to be right for 1,000 or 2, if you look at my trades over 20 plus years. Then I got obsessed with VRPX, and at this point, I'm just really frustrated. And I said, look at this, no bounce, I'm out, into timeout I go, terrible mistake focusing on VRPX over SERV. So, right track, wrong execution, and at this point, I'm down a few hundred on the day, and I'm just like, I was going to do a video lesson. I was like, this is just frustrating. But then SERV kept spiking, and I was like, okay, this keeps spiking, so now let me wait for the dip. And at this point, I'm waiting for the dip. And, sometimes I say don't trade midday, don't trade in the afternoon. In this crazy market, trade all the time, as much as you can, whenever the opportunity presents itself. And on this one, I was waiting for a dip off the highs. This was around 2:15 p.m. So this was right around here. And I was catching this dip off the highs. It had already hit nearly 9, and I'm getting it around 7. So basically $2 a share off its highs. I'm just thinking that it's going to bounce. I didn't know that it was going to make new highs. I just thought that it could bounce a little bit. And, I sold 730. I said, what a rush. And this was, for me, again, some people will say, Tim, like if you're dip buying, why are you only trying to make 20 cents a share? I wasn't. I'm just frazzled at the time. I'm already having a crappy day. This at least gets me, back to, I think, basically break even on the day, or, maybe even a small loss. But like, it was really a good moral victory. And I think I even said moral victory in the chat room. And it was just a nice way. I didn't know SERV was going to keep going, but I kept watching. If you follow me on Twitter, this was me exhausted, and I'm just trading like past midnight. It's not this light. This was like with flash and everything, but like I'm trading late at night. I'm so tired, but the damn stock just keeps going, and I can't stop trading it because I know that it's a Friday after hours. It's another short squeeze zone for over aggressive shorts. Normally I don't buy after hours. Normally I don't buy around 10:30 or 11 a.m. either. But when this stock is trading, you can see here it traded 266 million shares. That's like, 15 times the float. So even though it's not low float, the ridiculous amount of buyers blow through any sellers, and especially short sellers. And so I'm exhausted here because I'm still in Italy. I know my time is up almost here, but I've been trying to stay in one place. I think it's good for me. But this was me trading after hours, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is going to break out. And I'm thinking, like, I only take 1,000 shares. I don't really like chasing this late in the day, especially when I'm like half awake. But I thought that it was going to break the day high. The day high here was 9. And again, some people ask, why would you chase this? Because it's a short squeeze. Okay. And I said, as I'm typing this, it had already broken out. Like I got executed, and then it just like within, I don't know, 5 or 10 seconds, it went from 890 to like 920. And that's when I was typing, because it was a breakout. Because all the shorts are like, screw this. The shorts have been trying to push it down all day. I can only imagine the terror and fear and frustration in the short selling chat rooms. That's what happens when you have the wrong strategy. And it just kept going. And I didn't know how high it was going to go at this point. But nearly $1 a share, 10%, I'll take it. Nearly $1,000. Very nice. And I also had one last trade because I have a weekend newsletter. I'll post a link to the weekend newsletter. This is a separate newsletter specifically focused on Friday to Monday trades. And because I messed up on SERV, I was looking at Sympathy plays. And RR is another robot delivery play. It was uptrending nicely all day. No one really knows about this, okay? This is what short sellers don't understand. They're just trying to base their short selling thesis on the fact that these are crap companies with crap fundamentals. Nobody really knows that you can now get like robotic delivery on Uber, and it's coming with more because it's just more efficient. Robots never have to sleep. They don't unionize. They don't have overtime. This is the future of, the economy. So even though it's a small future right now and very small business, obviously Uber likes it because it will cut down on their costs. NVIDIA likes it because you'll need more AI chips. So all the biggest leaders are motivated to grow this little tiny industry. RR was uptrending, but not really breaking out. It was right in here. It started getting mentioned as a sympathy play. And, SERV was spiking. So I was like, okay, I'm more comfortable with this. It's not as well known. Going back to my thesis now that SERV is not just an NVIDIA investment, but it's like the welcoming of, this new industry publicly. It's basically like an IPO. So I said, this is, a lower price sympathy play, goals to make 10 to 20% today or over the weekend. And I bought it at 2 p.m. Some people were surprised that I was just holding, and I was like, well, it's not as scary. Like, there's really not much risk. While I had it before the market closed, it was like 140, like 138. I think I was down like 2 cents a share at a time. And then I got up to like 148, but I was like, I'm not in this to make 8 cents a share or lose 10 cents a share. Let me give it time. So I didn't plan on selling this, but I sold some here after hours just because SERV was down so much. So SERV might have finished up, but around right in here, it had already gotten back to 8, and then it was back down to 7-ish. And I wasn't sure if, SERV was going to, really squeeze anymore. So I sold half. This is the beauty of trading. You don't have to buy all. You don't have to sell all. You can break up your positions into halves, into thirds, into quarters, into eighths. So I took a little off the table just because I was like, well, nearly 10 cents a share. Let me just take a little risk off just in case SERV panics. Fully intending to hold the other 2,500 over the weekend. But then as SERV squeezed, so did RR. And we got a nice squeeze after hours from here, 145 all the way up to 175. And at that point, I was like, wow, I didn't even know that SERV wasn't going to finish at the highs. I was just so tired. And when you're tired, even if you have like a busy day, maybe you're not tired, you have a job or whatever, it's good to lock in profits, okay? This is a great trade. I specifically said my goal is to make 10 to 20%. I made nearly 15%. It doesn't get better than this. This was a far easier $1,000 than SERV. I like sympathy plays, and this one actually also faded into the close at 157, so I sold it pretty well. As poorly as I traded SERV, I traded the sympathy play RR much better. I'm better at lower price plays, less choppy plays. So that's just me. Congrats to all my weekend newsletter subscribers. I'll post a link to that. But whether you like trading the absolute short squeeze play like SERV or the lower priced, lower risk, lower stress sympathy play RR, there's money to be made in both. And as frustrating as it was during the day, I ended up making nearly $2,000 after hours and locking it in. So really good way to end the day, really good way to end the week. I know it doesn't always end with a happy ending like this for most traders every day or every week, but if you stick with it, especially in this market, you might be surprised what's possible because this is a hot market. And in case you don't understand, This is the time to push it. I know it's the summertime, so you don't want to push it. You want to go enjoy the nice weather. You want to go outside. When you have a hot market like this, do not waste it. Again, tell me if you're going to be long or short. I'm curious. I won't hold you to it, but just leave a comment. Do you like going long? Do you like going short? SERV did fade into the after hours close, FYI, from nearly 10 down to 820. So I actually sold this pretty well in the 970s here. But again, that's just because I was exhausted. Some of you worry that, you might be in a different time zone, or you might have a part-time job or a full-time job, and you're like, can I do this? Some people think absolutely do not trade if you're busy. Do not trade if you have a part-time job. I find that, sometimes my busy schedule helps me, okay? I didn't want to do the trade, but I saw that it was breaking out after hours. I know how these plays can run after hours, so I took the trade. And then I didn't necessarily plan on selling same day, but then I had a solid profit. And when I make nearly $1,000, I'm going to take it so I could go to sleep. I didn't know it was going to fade $1.50, here and then fail. Also, more than just the dropping of $1.50, it also kind of like triple topped here at $9 a share, which is, I think, worthy of discussion. I didn't know it was going to fade. I just respected my exhaustion level and I locked in the profits. So very frustrating day to start with. Zigging when I should zag when I should zig. VRPX was a big disappointment. I missed this big spike, and then I tried to dip by it, and then there was just nothing there. But at least I cut losses. And then SERV, I was dead on in my watch list. Bad with my execution. Missed the big run up because I was focusing on VRPX. You can really think about the mistakes that you make. It's not just like, oh, I missed this play. It's like, I'm focusing on the other play. I was too conservative. I was too aggressive. There's a lot of mistakes that you can make. And you really have to be honest about it. Be introspective, be blunt, be hard on yourself. Because that's how you get better. I was really bad with my trading in the morning, but I was only down a few hundred because I followed rule number 1 and I cut losses quickly. Then I was really dead on with my dip buys on SERV, my after hours breakout buy and short squeeze and sell, which inadvertently I sold perfectly. And then RR was just a gradual run up. And then I took the opportunity to sell, into the close. And, some people don't realize that you can trade pre-market or after hours. You can start trading pre-market at 4 a.m. Eastern. So I know it's tough if you're on the East Coast. It's even tougher if you're on the West Coast. It's better if you're in Europe like I am right now. But 4 a.m. until 8 p.m. Eastern. So when I say the close, most people think 4 p.m. Eastern. It's actually 8 p.m. Eastern. For me, it was just like my close was like when I was closing my eyes. I could not keep my eyes open any longer. I got the exact spike I wanted. No need to hold over the weekend. Some people don't like it. They're like, Tim, this is supposed to be, Friday to Monday. If my goals are met and I don't need weekend risk, I will gladly take my profits. I took some profits just to take some risk off the level. Then my goals were hit to a T. And so I took those profits. So I'm glad to teach you from my successes, my mistakes, when I'm too aggressive, when I'm too conservative, when I'm dead on. You can learn from it all. This is real trading. Okay. So don't expect to have these great, joyous endings like I did to my day and week. Expect to be frustrated. Expect to zig when you should zag when you should zig, especially in the beginning of your career. And you might not even realize it because you don't necessarily know how to judge what you're doing right or wrong. I at least know how to judge what I'm doing right or wrong because I've been doing this for a freaking quarter of a century. So it gets easier to really understand. Not necessarily in real time, I still make mistakes, but it's easier to understand your mistakes afterwards in hindsight. And, I know what I can do to correct them, and I'm going to learn from SERV, and I really couldn't have traded RR any better. Really happy with that. So this is my trade. Again, leave a comment below. Do you like going long? Do you like going short? We need short sellers. We appreciate your sacrifice. Longs, I think this is the time to make the most knowledge gains and trading gains. Remember, you have 2 brokerage accounts, 2 accounts. One where you gain your knowledge and the other where you can gain actual trading profits. You have to grow your knowledge account. You can't just grow your trading account without knowledge. It doesn't work like that. Really good day. this is a good lesson, much better than I thought it would. I really wanted to just dig into everything. This is trading. You got to go into the details. Some people are like, just give me the hot picks. No, you got to go into the smallest details. The most money that you will make will be when you really dig into the smallest details, because that's how you optimize your process over time. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you're crushing it. Let me know if you're learning. Let me know if you're making mistakes. It's okay. It's all part of your journey. I'll see you guys in chat. Click some links below. Study hard. Hey, Tim Sykes here. Another video lesson. I want to follow up. The last video lesson that I did was actually last Friday. And it was a perfect Friday short squeeze on SERV and also RR. I even called it in the watch list because it's good to have a better understanding of how all of these plays work, why they spike, how they play out, the ups and the downs. The more you understand the framework, the better. Okay? SERV has actually followed the framework pretty well. It's pretty crazy how short sellers are the new promoters. This is why I focus on them so much. Some people are like, why are you so obsessed with shorters and short selling? Because they're the ones spiking stocks. Remember, the news came out, okay, NVIDIA, Uber investors in this little, autonomous vehicle delivery little cart thing. It's pretty cool, but they hardly have any business. The news came out and it spiked from the 2s to the 4s, even hit 5, and then faded for several hours of trading. And I was in it pre-market. I thought that it would do more. It didn't. It spiked up later after it faded. Why does it do that? So many people think, oh, you have to be there when the news is out. You need 10 monitors. You have to be in front of a computer. No, you don't. Okay, I'm trading from a freaking laptop. Yesterday, just to give you an example, hold on, I have a few tweets that I want to show you. I was trading from here, from this freaking boat. And the Wi-Fi was up and down, the water was up and down, my seasickness was up and down, and I still made a little over $2,000 on IVP and ASTS and POAI. This was the boat, and it was pretty crazy. And I was with my friends. It was an insane day. You can trade from anywhere. You don't have to be there initially for the breaking news. It helps if you can be, but you can trade from boats. You can trade from planes. You can trade from cars. You can trade in an office. You can trade from bed. You can trade from pools. You just have to know how these patterns play out. And then you choose where you want to trade, how much you want to trade, how big you want to trade. But there's so much damn opportunity. And I'm just sad when people make excuses, like there's different people who say how hard trading is, how impossible it is, how you have to be obsessed. I have many part-time students. I have many part-time trading students, okay? You can do whatever you want. Just don't make any excuses about studying. I'm so sick of excuses. I have zero tolerance for laziness. So you have to study. That's why I make these videos. And then you start to learn, because this kind of play will happen again and again. Maybe it won't be SERV. Maybe it won't be, Uber and NVIDIA investing in a small company, but you will have a news spike. The stock will be up 50 or 100%. It will start to fade. Over aggressive short sellers will enter thinking that it's going to come down. And those over aggressive short sellers are the key for, this one went from 4 to 10 when I made the last video lesson. It went all the way up to 13.89 the next trading day. Okay. Congrats to several Trading Challenge students. People like Jack Kellogg made $350,000. A few other top Trading Challenge students who don't want me to talk about how much money they make publicly, but several of my top Trading Challenge students made six figures, $100,000 plus, $200,000 plus on this stock. Matt Monaco, not quite six figures, but he made $50,000 on this stock. And in case you don't know, Matt Monaco is one of my students. We did a boot camp. I'll link the boot camp below. When he was up around 50,000 total, like 4 years ago, now he's over 2 million. Okay, so no excuses. Study up. Leave a comment below and say, I will be prepared for the next one. Okay, and not only did it spike up here from the 2s to the 4s, trap a lot of over aggressive short sellers, those morons, those beautiful morons for whom we must be so grateful. Not only did it trap all these short sellers who were in here, but it actually went up to 13.89 and came down to the 8s again and used 8 as support. And then yesterday it actually hit 14s after hours. Pre-market, as I'm filming this, it's in the 12s. Okay, so there is so much opportunity. If you're there for the initial breaking news, fantastic. Stocks to trade breaking news alerted it. If you're there pre-market like I was, and I was a little disappointed, but then you recognize that short squeezes can happen and you bank on this, or, you know, if you catch the dip and then you see it start coiling and then it goes higher like yesterday. The one downside of yesterday, like, it was cool that I was, you know, trading from this boat, but I couldn't really partake in SERV. It was too volatile. You know, I had IVP overnight. It was a nice little short squeeze pre-market. And actually, what did IVP get up to? I know it faded towards the end. The whole market, you know, was crap yesterday in the past 2 days. So IVP got up to 748. I was buying it in the mid sixes. So this is like an attempted short squeeze. And this is a good lesson too. IVP is a recent supernova. Okay. It's gone supernova just recently, a few days ago, when it went from basically the 1s to the 16s. I didn't even realize that it hit the 16s. Wait, what was the high? 1605. So from the 1s to the 16s, this is another one. But now it's been coming down. And now I thought that it could have a better bounce and it just didn't. So don't think that they're all going to be perfect short squeezes like SERV, but, you know, I locked in profits just the same on IVP. Made 500 on one of my newsletters. This was Supernova and Weekend Trader. Sometimes with Weekend Trader, I'll find an overnight play midweek. I thought IVP would do better. But it just, you know, it didn't help that the NASDAQ was down over 3%. So it's kind of tough when the NASDAQ has its worst day in months for a big short squeeze. But I made roughly $2,000 on IVP, so it's not the end of the world. But between IVP and SERV, recognize that this is not propelled by fundamentals. This is not propelled by the fact that these are good companies. It's short sellers, over aggressive short sellers who can get squeezed. So I'm going to keep talking about them in every single video because they are the inadvertent promoter of the month. Okay. You know, I'm doing pretty well. Like in the past week since I made that last video lesson, I'm up like $9,000, not too much, but I'm also like, I have 17 people with me here in Italy. So it's a little crazy right now. I'm up $45,000 in the past month. And in the past month, I think I've had probably actually around 45 people with me here in Italy. So basically $1,000 for every one of my guests. I've got some friends in town. I've got some students. It's just been a crazy month. If you can make 45,000 while you're in Italy, while you're hosting a ton of people, while you're going boating, while you're going hiking, like, you can do this from anywhere. Obviously, I've been trading for a while. I know these patterns inside and out. So don't think that this is going to happen overnight, but it can happen. ASTS is another one. Oh, I forgot to even, oh my God, 1690 pre-market. This one just keeps going. This one's not quite like 2 to 16, but in the past few days, you know, 12 to 16. And if you look at the past few months, you know, again, Stocks to Trade Breaking News alerted this news right here when they started doing deals with big telecommunications companies for their satellite product. And this has been a huge multi-month uptrend. So between ASTS, SERV, and IVP, these are just 3 of several stocks that are really spiking. And some people are like, why is this happening? Well, the IWM is greatly outperforming. The IWM is the Russell 2000. As the Fed potentially lowers rates, the IWM and small cap stocks should rise. Let me find a chart. One sec. This was a good chart that I saw. And, you know, year to date, the NASDAQ is up 12.4, but the IWM is now up 10.2. And why does that sound remarkable? Like the NASDAQ is still up more than the small caps. But look at the small caps just in the month of July. The NASDAQ has actually lost like half of its gains year to date. And the IWM has gone up from, I mean, it was up like 1%. It's gone up like 1,000%. So welcome to, you know, small caps. This is the divergence. So the divergence, you know, NASDAQ was hitting new highs overall. Big companies were leading. Now it's small companies. So it's game time, guys. Wait, there's one other chart. Let me find this one. This was another good chart. And remember, I posted about how, what was his name? Druckenmiller sold his NVIDIA shares and he flipped it into IWM. And Druckenmiller is one of the smartest, best traders in the history of trading. Not a coincidence that the IWM has now finally broken through 3.5 year trend line. So welcome to small caps. Welcome to the mania. Some of you are going to be like, Tim, I have so many questions. I'm going to post a link to the challenge. That's the only place I answer questions. I don't have time for questions everywhere. If you think you're WhatsApping me, you think that you're talking to me on LinkedIn, you're not. I have imposters galore. So when I bring up these kind of eye-opening stats and charts, guess what? I get a lot of questions. I'm a little overwhelmed. I'm hanging on to my sanity by a thread. So I'm actually giving a challenge webinar later today. So challenge students, if you are watching this, if you're one of my diligent, dedicated students watching a video lesson like you should, get ready for today's webinar and ask me some damn good questions. Everybody else, get in the challenge. If you want Q&A, that's where it is. No place else. I don't have time. I don't have tolerance. I don't have patience. If that offends you, good. Don't ask me questions. Okay? I'm here to create more millionaires. Oh, I forgot to even mention. Look at this. This is how crazy my mind is right now. This was the boat. These are my friends like Luna, who's actually scared of boats, but she did well. But these two students, it's pretty amazing. Chris and Evan Shunk both became millionaires in the past few days. I should have done a whole video on this. Oh my God, I'm so behind. Now 43 or 44 total millionaires, public millionaires. The real number is probably over 60. A lot of trading challenge students don't want to be public with their gains. I get it. You know, I appreciate everyone who's public. I appreciate everyone who's private. I just want to help you guys, okay? And I can't believe I didn't even do a video lesson on these guys. I'm sorry, Evan and Chris. Normally I always like show everyone's journey just to inspire you guys. But here's Evan, 6 years, 3 months, 10 days, millionaire challenge complete. I love this because he says, it's still crazy to think my life changed trajectory from watching a Tim Sykes interview on the Steve Harvey show in 2018. Lots of family friends thought I was getting scammed. Now I'm here, you know, and I get this all the time. It's like, oh, it's too good to be true, or you're a scam. I'm not too good to be true. It's not a scam. It's all real. If you think I'm a scam, if you have any doubts, don't bother. I just don't have patience anymore. I'm sorry. I used to be, no, I never really was more patient. I was going to say I used to be more patient. I think I actually used to be angrier. Now I'm just more exhausted because so many people want to join and I have to guard my time. Okay. Props to Evan and his brother, Chris. They were both here in Italy with me. They're one of the two of the 45 people, you know, that I've hosted in the past month. It's probably actually about 50 or 55 people. I've lost track. But awesome guys. Chris brought his wife. Evan brought his fiance. I'm actually going to Evan's wedding in a few months. I'm excited for that. They're both, you know, they have amazing partners. It's just beautiful. But like, this is what can happen when you actually study these patterns. Props to everybody who's in small caps right now because the market is on fire. As you see from these charts, we're in a greatly overperforming period where small caps should lead the market. This is what happens with lower interest rates. You know, Jack Kellogg and I did a whole presentation on this. I did a whole presentation in Washington, D.C. a few weeks ago or a few months ago now, just talking about this exact phenomenon. Surprise! We're real. Surprise! This stuff isn't as crazy impossible to predict as you might think. Surprise! History repeats. But I'm so proud of these guys. And even if you're not, you know, a millionaire yet, I'm still proud. I want to highlight a few students. Fernando, it doesn't matter how small you start. This is for those of you with small accounts. POAI was a great runner. Fernando actually traded it better than I did. This thing was like all over the place yesterday. It was pretty choppy. I was kind of scared with my choppy Wi-Fi and the choppy stock. But Fernando nailed it. 200 shares in at 209, out 200 shares at 282. How did POAI even finish? I didn't even see it. Too many damn plays. POAI. Wow, finished in the 170s. So, you know, even if the short squeeze attempt fails, you know, there was still a lot of upside when it was trying yesterday. Again, stocks and trade breaking news alerted the news. What was there? Was Alzheimer's or cancer? What is it? Cancer. Yeah. used for oncology, biomarker. Yeah, I mean, they're using AI for state-of-the-art oncology drug response. So, it has potential, but it's tough with these small biotechs because even if they have good news, they need money. Like it costs a lot of money. So probably POAI will do an offering if they can today or next week or whatever. But that's why, you get this choppiness. But I love it. I love seeing, students like Fernando. Fernando, this is what I'm saying. Some people use this as an excuse. Oh, I have a small account. I can't make much. You have to learn to grow your small account. How do you think all my millionaire students started? You think they started with $1 million? No, they started with small amounts. This is a great trade from Fernando. 200 shares at 209. So he's putting in $400 and he's making $68. That might not seem like a lot to you, but this is how it begins. And I'm sorry, I know there's a lot of you in the chat room who made between 100 and 2,000 in the past few days. I'm just overwhelmed. Normally I like to highlight all of you, but right now Fernando is a good example. This is a great trade, okay? $68 after what? How many minutes? This was it looks like 9:45 and this is like 10:10. So 30 minutes. 30 minutes and he makes, again, $68 doesn't seem like much, but at the same time, it's the process. He bought 200 shares. You can do the same trade with 2,000 shares and make $680. You could do the same trade eventually, not in the beginning, but eventually with 20,000 shares. Okay? That's the beauty of trading. You do the same trade just with bigger position size, but it's the process. So if you can do this, obviously there's slippage and it's scarier when there's real money. But at the same time, if Fernando sticks with it, if any of you with small accounts stick with it, you can do this trade with 20,000 shares, okay? And you will make $6,800 in 30 minutes. So some of you are like, oh, I don't want to join the challenge. It's too expensive. You can finance it all with one good trade. Not to mention that it's a lifelong skill. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke when people say they don't want to invest in their education. But I get it. Some people don't have their priorities in order. Just don't come to me if you're unwilling to really invest time and money into your education, because this is life-changing. But you have to have the right attitude. Other students, Christian had a perfect dip buy. He's not trading penny stocks, but guess what? The framework, the number 5 pattern, this was crazy on the NASDAQ yesterday, the NASDAQ and NVIDIA. Normally I don't look at bigger companies very much, but NVIDIA was tanking. I even commented about it in the chat room. I mean, this is a classic morning panic. Okay. 114 down to 106, back to 114. It's as if this big drop never even happened. Longs got scared. Shorts got aggressive. And this is another thing with over-aggressive shorts. Thank you. Over-aggressive shorts. I'm sure they're thinking the end is near for NVIDIA. Now we attack. And I can just imagine all the short sellers in all these Discord chat rooms being like, finally, it's going to go below 100. And then they just get squeezed. Yeah, I'm sorry, short sellers. You're just wrong. You're just so wrong. It's just like having the wrong strategy in the wrong time. And there are some shorts who make money, don't get me wrong. They're not all losing, but the risk, the stress, and then the newbies trying, it's just abysmal. It's just abysmal. Even Jack Kellogg has given up shorting. Massive props to Jack. I'm up 45,000 in the past month. Jack, this is just the past week. He's had some losses. He got a little too over aggressive. But in the past 30 days, $425,000. So I want to show you the ridiculous upside. And now he's up over $1 million year to date. And he was just here in Italy with me. I got some cool photos and videos that I got to share with you. And if you ask him, he's not happy with this. He's up over $1 million, a little over halfway through the year, but he got way too aggressive on SLNA. After he had the 350,000 winner on SERV, he's had some issues. And this always happens when he has big wins. He was SPWR, he had a $60,000 loss, nasty slam on this one. He gets, in order to make the big amounts of money, you have to kind of unleash the beast and just be I got to go big. And look at this, 3 big losses. on SERV. He nailed it on AZTR. AZTR was another one. I'm forgetting Millionaire students. I'm forgetting plays. In case you didn't know how overwhelmed I am. AZTR is kind of dead right now, but this was a beautiful short squeeze right here from the 1s to the 12s in one morning. I was buying it in the 4s and I was selling it in the 5s. Some people will say, well, Tim, like this one tanked way off the highs. Yeah, they did a financing. So, again, the shorts aren't wrong. These are bad companies. They will do financings. Their stock will crash. But I don't think anybody waited who shorted. I don't think they waited for the 9s, 10s, 11s, or 12s to short. They're shorting all the way up. And it's, in this case, they win. But in some cases, it's a recipe for disaster. What if this went to 20? What if this went to 30? What if it went to 50? What if they didn't do the financing, right? Like, you're just playing with fire if you're shorting these plays. Jack nailed it. I nailed it. But Jack also had some losses on MAXN, some big losses. And you can see this. I mean, you're like, wow, he has lots of losses. But again, it comes down to size. And this one trade on SERV wipes out all of his little losses and more. And this took, nerves of steel to be long 65,000 shares over the weekend from the 5s to the 11s. I was talking with him, he was up like 200,000. And I was like, dude, that's a really good trade. He's like, nope, I'm going to hold. And he did. And, he sold it in the 11s. Pretty amazing trade here with size, making 350 grand. So he's up over $1 million on the year. I want to inspire you from the biggest traders and even the smallest. Or if you're trading from boats, I wanted to bring up Fernando. Sorry, I got too many. This is Fernando. Fernando only made $68 on this one. And then Jack made $357,000. And some people may be like, this is ridiculous. How can you compare these traders? Well, they're both trading challenge students. And once upon a time, Jack was making $40, $50, $60. Okay? So Fernando might be at the beginning of his journey. Jack, not necessarily the end, but much further along. That's what's possible. When you have these ridiculous setups, when you have the right preparation, when you have the right strategy, okay? You can't put the improper, what was I going to say? I usually say like the wrong, I can't even think. I need a coffee. I was going to say the wrong pronunciation, but whatever. I can't even, I legit can't even think right now. I put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. That's what I wanted to say. Short sellers are putting the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. They have the wrong strategy for this market. If you are long biased, whether you're going big, whether you're going small long, this is a great short squeeze market. And I want you to leave a comment saying that you understand that. Maybe some promoters will pop up. I don't know. I would like promoters too. I don't really care though. I don't care if it's short sellers who spike up these stocks. I don't care if it's promoters. As long as we get the big spikes. As long as the IWM keeps outperforming, which it probably will as we get into, rumored lower rates, there's going to be a ton of plays and there's going to be a ton of money. Like, you can just search. If you do a Twitter search for Timothy Sykes and pie, not only am I loving life here with my fresh baked apple pies here by my chef here in Italy, but if you actually look at more pie tweets, I said this, and this really applies. Recognize how hot the market is every day. Even if the NASDAQ is down, remember, small caps are outperforming. Wake up earlier, skip class, tell your boss to screw off, do what you have to do to focus on these runners while you can. Grab your piece of the pie. Look at this. I even spelled pie wrong. I'm out of it, okay? I'm trying to keep up, but there's too many new millionaires, too many solid plays, too many people visiting me here, but I love it, okay? I wouldn't change it for anything, and I just want more people to recognize it. So, again, I'll post multiple links below. Click around. Get really interested. Get really obsessed with learning and using different tools. Watch this whole video lesson. If you've already seen it, watch it again, because this was before SERV nearly doubled in the next few days and actually nearly doubled again off the lows. And it's all due to short sellers. So the sooner you recognize it, the sooner you capitalize, the sooner you can size up. But don't size up too soon It's okay to trade small. Congrats to everyone, even learning, even if you're not trading. This is a hot market. I got to go do my watch list. Trading challenge students, come ready with good questions today for the webinar. Cheers.